Yo, what is up, guys? It is your host, the one and only Great Zage here, and welcome back to the channel. If you guys don't know, this is another part 2. What if Issei was Ma's reincarnation? Now, I know it's been a month since I last put on this what if, but then again, guys, I have to admit, when it comes to my personal life, it does take up a lot of time. But then again, if it comes to my personal life, I have to drop everything so I can take care of it. But since I've taken care of it now, I think it's about time that I get started with this what if, since I know some of you guys have been waiting for it. And not gonna lie, the whole trouble I went through getting through this part is like, let me just say, frustrating, okay? But besides all that, guys, I tried my hardest on this one, so I hope you all do enjoy. And hope you guys have a good day. And remember to always have a good time, you know? But besides that, guys, let's go ahead and get started with this what if. So, let's begin.
You're never gonna make it, you're not good enough. There's a million other people with the same stuff. You really think you're different? Man, you must be kidding. Think you're gonna hit it, but you just don't get it. It's impossible, it's not probable, you're irresponsible. Too many obstacles, you gotta stop it, yo. You gotta take it slow, you can't be a pro. Don't waste your time no more. Who the fuck are you to tell me what to do?
Alright, guys, let's get it. And by the way, you know, just so I don't run out of energy, I went ahead and there's gonna be times you guys are gonna hear the video cut off, and that's mostly because I'm gonna go ahead and get some water. Because, not gonna lie, my throat has sort of been slightly killing me for the past few, well, actually no, just recently right now. Because, I don't know, I was just sitting outside and my throat got dry, so yeah. But still, let's continue on with this what if. So we now begin this what if with actually an image of Naruto right now, as he was currently back in his, you know, his created village. The masterpiece that it was finally coming together. As he would look around through the village, everyone was currently getting along. There was no hate, there was no title of arrogance, there was nothing going on except pure joy. If only the hidden leaf was like that. As Naruto was smiling, he would look up into the sky. However, he would see some clouds rolling in. As Naruto can't help but gain a bad feeling. At this, almost as if sensing his emotions, Kurama, Naruto's partner, would go ahead and begin to ask his fellow partner, like, what the heck is going on? To which Naruto would respond, saying that he's beginning to have a bad feeling. As Naruto continues looking on up into the sky, he would suddenly remember an old pervert, causing Naruto's eyes to sharpen up. However, he can't help but wonder, why would he remember that pervy sage, especially now? At this, we're now gonna go and do a time skip, as currently right now we will see Jiraiya, the Toad Sani, who currently now had just arrived at Amagakure, which is also known as the village hidden by rain. As Jiraiya had just infiltrated the village successfully, he had no idea about a certain orange-haired individual who was currently looking at him with his purple eyes. Now, I would like to remind you about something. This Pain is not as calm-headed as he was exactly. And also Konan is not with him. So yeah, things are gonna go similar but also gonna be slightly different. As the Jiraiya would begin to look around, he would also begin to see that, you know, things were already off. Until suddenly he would then feel a ginormous wave of pressure just approaching him at rapid rates. He would look up only to be slammed into the ground by a ginormous burst of chakra. As Jiraiya would of course tank the hit, as he had taken much harder ones, he would still groan in pain from it. However, this is when suddenly he would be forced to dodge, as an orange blur would literally blitz right towards him with a weird dagger thing ready to stab him. Jiraiya would of course jump away just in time, as the figure would stab into the ground, as the figure would reveal it to be Pain. At this, Jiraiya would of course jump away successfully, as he would then look at him. Yup, purple eyes, orange hair. Yup, there's no doubt about it. You must be the leader of the Akatsuki, aren't you? Now, I'd like to inform you that now that the Akatsuki was more on a move this time, and they're being shown more often, Pain was of course be able to be detected, of course. But this time though, things are going to go slightly different. At this, Jiraiya would continue going ahead and looking at him with a cocky smirk on his face, as of course Pain would just look at him with a bored and unimpressed look. At this, Pain would just do the Bashon Tenin, not even caring for Jiraiya to even say the name of the technique, as Jiraiya gets dragged towards Pain. He was surprised by this, as Pain will go ahead and stab Jiraiya right through the chest, ending him instantly. Or at least so he thought, as of course in a poof of smoke, a log will replace Jiraiya, as suddenly a ginormous wave of chakra will be sensed by Pain, as he would be forced to dodge a Rasengan that was about to clash right into his face. Seeing him dodge, Jiraiya would go and, grit his teeth as he would jump away as well. As of course Jiraiya would continue on chuckling as he ended up saying that he was impressed by the speed of the user of the Rinnegan, to which Jiraiya of course knew about. Not a lot of it, but he knew about the Rinnegan. At this, Jiraiya would continue on laughing and laughing until suddenly the laughter would begin to change. Instead of being that, that normal, like perverted, just, pure happiness laugh, it would change one of hollow and lack of empathy. As Jiraiya continues on chuckling, and then he would finally then look at Pain with a unnerving stare that even shakes Pain a little bit. Jiraiya would show a face of nothing but pure rage. However, although he didn't show it outwardly, his eyes says the whole story. As Jiraiya would then begin to speak, he would begin to say that he knew that the Akatsuki took Naruto. I mean, come on now, it was so obvious. Well, who else would be after the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki? Although there could be a chance that it could have been from the Stone Village, even they had no idea about Naruto. At this, Jiraiya continues on chuckling as this time, instead of, hourly like belly laughing, he would just continue going on with that hollow laugh until he finally looks at them. You guys have not only taken away so many precious lives of those of the Jinchuriki. At this, he would remember Naruto, the goofball one that we all remember in canon, as this is when Jiraiya would grit his teeth, but this time, I'll make sure to put an end to it. At this, Pain doesn't even go on his whole ideology spiel or anything, as currently right now, like I said, bro thought of Jiraiya as nothing more than a nuisance. At this, Jiraiya would then close his eyes, as for a deep minute you can see him take in breaths, until his eyes would then open up to reveal toad-like eyes. However, unlike before, where Jiraiya would be, more toad-like, instead it seemed like there was no effects of toad at all, as Jiraiya had just activated his Sage mode. Now, if you guys want some insight, pretty much during that whole time that Naruto was gone, Jiraiya blamed himself for his student and also godson's disappearance. After seeing that Naruto had left, Jiraiya had trained himself. He had trained himself to become stronger. After so many failures of his life, after seeing Minato, then Kushina, then even Naruto, then I believe that in this part of this canon, I feel like in this timeline, Jiraiya would actually perfect his Sage mode to the point where, nothing like this can happen again. Jiraiya would look at Pain as he would then instantly get into the Toad Kata taijutsu style, while Pain just suddenly scoffs. At this, suddenly Jiraiya would then sense other presence approaching due to the fact that he has now, perfect Sage mode, and suddenly falling from above, other figures of orange heads would then fall, revealing all 6 paths of Pain. However, instead of running away in fear, Jiraiya puts on a smirk, as he would then instantly, in an instant, summon both Ma and Pa onto his shoulders, as they instantly knew about the problem. Jiraiya was not playing games, and during that time when Naruto was gone, he was definitely going to make sure that the leader of the Akatsuki went down one way or another. As we now change our scenes, of course, we will see currently Naruto, who currently right now is just about to go off again. At this, he actually went ahead and, made it to where Sugetsu, Karin, as well as Jugo actually, got a place to stay in his village. Although that was only temporary until they find, someplace they can stay and live. As Sugetsu actually was thinking about staying in the Hidden Mist village. But that's not really what's important. Naruto had decided he was going to go out once again to gather more resources, as well as seeing if there's any other people to join the village. As well as while this is happening, rainfall begins to fall upon them, to which Naruto will consider odd, as for the past few days it's been nothing but sunny. At this, Naruto looks at the sky with a little bit of a grim expression, as for some reason he had no idea, but something was pulling him towards the Hidden Rain village. He didn't know why, but he just felt a pull to it. As well as he continued getting memories of the certain pervy sage. However, Naruto ignored it. After all, he had much more important things to worry about. At this, Naruto would jump away. However, that nagging feeling would also begin to creep on him. As Naruto would then slightly mutter under his breath, he would check it out later, as he goes off to gather more resources. So back with Jiraiya. Jiraiya was currently now facing off against all 6 paths of Pain, as Jiraiya would actually begin to lead them on. First things first was to take care of the Ashura path. Jiraiya actually had a good idea of dealing with him, As of course, after using the power of shadow clones, which I have to admit are extremely useful, Jiraiya had actually made them each have almost similar amounts of chakra to him, while he also downplayed his own, trying to make it to where each of them have similar amounts of chakra. At this caused each one of the pains to actually look around, as of course using the opportunity, Jiraiya would scatter the clones as well as himself to go different ways around the village hidden in the rain. At this, each one of the paths would then spread out, while Jiraiya's clones leads them. As the Ashura path was actually gaining on one of the clones that was currently going to a secluded place in the hidden rain village, this is when suddenly the clone would actually turn around and grab the Ashura path. This would surprise it momentarily, however it would then transform its body into like a sword, as the sword would then just shoot out of its stomach ready to pierce the clone. However, this is when the clone would then open its mouth to reveal an exploding tag. With shock on its face, the clone would actually explode right in the face of the Ashura path, damaging it by a lot, however not enough to knock it down. As just as when it was about to recover, this is when suddenly it would then hear a swirling sound, only to look above to be finished off by a Rasengan, a ginormous one, thanks to Jiraiya using the power of Sage Mode to amp it up. So, one Ashura path already down. However, sadly, this is when Jiraiya would then get a memory from his clones, as he felt all the chakra just gone from it. At this, Jiraiya then looks around through the memories, only to see that it was the Praetor path. At this, Jiraiya grits his teeth as he realized that one of the paths had the ability to absorb chakra. However, this is when he smirks, as it seems like nature energy is not one of them. So knowing and seeing this opportunity, Jiraiya will create some more clones as he would then spread out, while he decides to actually, using his clones of course, to actually try testing out the other paths. Mostly due to the fact that so far out of all the paths, the Diva path seemed like the most dangerous one, and Jiraiya decided that he needs to conserve his strength in order to face the others. So the next path that was taken down by Jiraiya was, I was gonna say, the human path. Due to the fact they had the ability to, to yank out souls out of the bodies and everything, Jiraiya, I would say, would have a much more easier time, as all he had to do was use, thanks to the effects from Ma and Pa, was able to put it under a Genjutsu. And with just like that, Jiraiya was able to go ahead and finish it off by slamming it with a ginormous Rasengan to the gut, pretty much knocking it out of the competition fairly easily. However, as Jiraiya is wondering this is when suddenly more clones will begin to come in, as Jiraiya of course had to take a minute to absorb all the energy and all the memories that came from it. However, he will then grit his teeth. One of the paths had the ability to just summon animals out of nowhere, while another one literally had the ability to just like yank out his tongue by this ginormous creature behind it. So seeing this, Jiraiya realized that now he had other two to take care of. However, as he thought this is when suddenly, just like that, a ginormous bird with the Renegon eyes would then slam into him, causing Jiraiya to have no choice but to be revealed. At this, Jiraiya would look around to see that he was surrounded by animals. However, as he does, he would see the animal path that was just looming over him. So of course, seeing the opportunity, Jiraiya would actually focus his chakra, as of course the Rasengan would then appear. However, adding nature energy to it, it would expand in size. However, he was not done yet, as he ended up using Ma and Pa, as they actually end up adding Oyo to Rasengan while Jiraiya pumps up fire release into it. At this is when Jiraiya will literally have a ginormous Rasengan, but it was in blazing fire as he looks up at the animal path. Seeing the technique, it was in shock of course, as Jiraiya would then jump up into the air and slam the technique right into its face, as just when it does so, all the animals around it would also begin to get burned to singes, as the attack was extremely powerful. As after that, a ginormous light would actually cause the other paths to actually look around, as they also see the ginormous destruction. After all, it was a pretty big attack. But then again, Jiraiya was surrounded by a bunch of the animal paths, animals, so there was not really much I would say he's able to do in that situation, except pretty much wiping them all out. However, that did come at a cost though, as by the time of that Jiraiya was done, he was already panting. That technique does take up a lot of chakra, even with the assistance of Ma and Pa. However, it was enough to get the job done, as the animal path's body was literally burned to singes, and there was barely any of him left. However, as Jiraiya thinks this, he would then suddenly see one of his clones jump out. However, they would then just be poofed away, as suddenly the Diva path as well as the Praetor path will both appear. Sorry, I don't mean the Praetor path, I mean the Naruto path. I don't know how to pronounce it right. Either way, it's a path that goes ahead and yanks people's tongue out, as well as use the King of Hell, okay? As Jiraiya sees it, he would then see a ginormous creature door-like thingy behind it, as it would then open up to reveal the other paths that Jiraiya destroyed. His mouth will be open wide as he sees that, as he couldn't believe his eyes. However, just as he does so, this is when suddenly the Naruto path would then appear right in front of Jiraiya, grabbing him by the throat, as once again the King of Hell would then use its arms, I guess, to begin to pull on Jiraiya's tongue. At this, Jiraiya looks on in shock. However, he will not give up, as this is when suddenly both Ma and Pa would then release an echo, like a screaming sound, causing the Naruto path to let go of Jiraiya. Jiraiya would then kick him to the King of Hell, causing it to release, his tongue and everything, as Jiraiya jumps away, coughing up a little bit due to the fact that, Jiraiya's tongue, they almost got pulled out and everything. He would go ahead and look around to see that right now he was in a pretty bad situation. Already, the Naruto path had already healed, as well as he was surrounded by all the other ones. So due to this, Jiraiya would then put on once again a smirk, as he was not out of the running yet. After all, like I said, this Jiraiya was much more amped than the other one in canon. Besides, I gotta put respect on the man's name, alright? This man fought against not only Conan, but also Pain in canon, bro. That deserves respect right there. So with this, Jiraiya would then once again charge up, as of course this is when the Diva Path begins to actually speak, saying that Jiraiya has no hope, and that better yet, he was nothing more than a nuisance to begin with. So why doesn't he just end like the rest of them? At this, Jiraiya will go ahead and look on, not once even a small bit intimidated by Pain's words, as this is when suddenly he will then form two small Rasengans. At this, the Pains will all look at Jiraiya, as they honestly did not know what was he gonna do with that. However, Jiraiya continued pumping up chakra, as well as he was adding his nature energy into it, causing the Rasengans to begin to expand in size even further. This would cause the Preta path, who was the path that actually absorbed chakra, to actually, about to try to take Jiraiya's chakra. However, right before he even got the chance, however, this is when suddenly sneaking up from behind, a Jiraiya clone would go in to throw a kick, only for the Diva path to, of course, just shoot it away. At this will cause everyone to look around, only to see that they were surrounded by Jiraiya clones. This would surprise them, and each Jiraiya clone had a ginormous Rasengan along with them, as Jiraiya will yell, "Now!" At this, using the opportunity, Jiraiya would, expand the ginormous flaming ball Rasengan, to which I'm just gonna call it, Blazing Rasengan, because why not? Because, not gonna lie, it would look really dope if it was animated. But still, yeah. Seeing this, Jiraiya would of course expand it even further. However, due to this, he was pushing his luck due to the fact that one, this took considerable amount of chakra, and two, even with Ma and Pa's assistance, Jiraiya's was already beginning to run low on nature energy. However, it was enough to take care of the Akatsuki, then it would do. So now, seeing that everything was said and done, Jiraiya would jump up into the air, as well as the other clones following along with him, as he all slammed the Rasengans into the Pains. At this, the Preta path tried to absorb the chakra. However, due to the fact that it was getting injured all over the place and not from the front, this caused it to not be able to, well, it's actually taking more damage. Dang it. Pah. Alright, let me try saying this again. It was taking way too much damage for it to concentrate on absorbing, causing it to, of course, be taken down. As Jiraiya would scream, as well as all the, shadow clones, eventually the result would be nothing more but a ginormous explosion that shook up the Rain Village. At this, after that, we will see the smoke settled, as of course tension was up in the air. However, we will see coming from the smoke was none other than Jiraiya, who currently right now was holding his hand. Right now, both of his hands were pretty much useless right now, as due to the fact that he overtaxed his chakra with that last jutsu, it pretty much took Jiraiya everything he had. However, it was worth it, as Jiraiya would look back, he would smile as he would see not only the Naruto path, which was the path that pretty much, was able to bring back the others, but he would also see the other path's damage. As Jiraiya sees this, he will also see the very path itself, the Diva path, was also injured in the attack. However, he was still conscious. Seeing this, Jiraiya would grit his teeth due to the fact that right now he was out of nature energy and also was nearly out of chakra. He only had enough chakra to just live. At this, both Ma and Pa had to leave. However, as they do though, Jiraiya does end up actually, he ended up thanking them for their help, to which both Ma and Pa look at Jiraiya with pure sadness due to the fact that they knew that last attack was almost everything Jiraiya had, and right now he shouldn't even be standing right now. As Jiraiya looks back at the, Pain would of course get up, as he sees, everything else. He would just do nothing more but glare daggers at Jiraiya. Seeing this, Jiraiya would go and look up, as he would then look up into the skies as he would see Naruto's laughing face. At this, he will go ahead and smile as he sees Naruto as the one and only regret Jiraiya has right now. Well, actually I wouldn't say the one and only one. One of the few regrets that Jiraiya has, and one of the most would have to be, not really truly being there for Naruto. At this, Pain would of course get up as he would then of course use the Bashonteni to drag Jiraiya towards him, as Jiraiya would of course be on the throw. As this when Pain would then say, "This is the end." As he would throw Jiraiya across, he would then jump up into the air and yell, "Shinra Tensei." At this, the ginormous wave of Shinra Tensei would come forth, as Jiraiya will be slammed into the ground, as of course this will cause Jiraiya to be slammed into the water as well, getting pushed extremely deep into it. While Jiraiya looks up and above, all he does is close his eyes. However, as Pain does the technique, he will see it, Jiraiya. However, there's something different. As he could see the light goes out in Jiraiya's eyes, he would see a smile on his face. As this was pretty much a taunt from Jiraiya. Not even a taunt, this was pretty much infuriating Pain, as this was pretty much Jiraiya's way of telling Pain like, "Hey yo, you really ain't shit." As Pain would go ahead and look at the destruction that was left, this would be the end of Jiraiya Tales of the Gallant. However, as Pain does so, he will go ahead and glare, as right now the Preta path, and pretty much Jiraiya did a lot of damage. He walked away with doing damage, alright? He took down the Preta path, he took down the Naraka path, he took down pretty much all the paths of Pain except for the Diva path. So that's sort of the only difference that will be happening in that arc. As of course Pain will glare, he would eventually just, get away, of course, as we now do a time skip. So we now do a time skip to when, of course, Tsunade still ended up finding the message from Jiraiya, of course, to which she was deeply upset due to the fact that one, Jiraiya and her never really got together, which, not gonna lie, that was pretty disappointing, as well as other stuff. However, we now turn our attention back to a certain blonde protagonist, as we see Naruto had just, gotten back and everything, as he currently right now making his way to the Hidden Rain village. Naruto had gotten this nagging feeling the entire time just to go over there, but he ignored it due to the sole purpose that really it all just came back to that memory of the dang pervy sage. As Naruto would arrive there though, he would actually be in shock as he sees the village Hidden Rain was almost completely turned into rubbles. This was nearly as the attack in Konoha and canon damage, except I would say a little bit worse due to the fact that it looked like a miniature war just happened in there. As Naruto looks around at the destruction and rubble, he can make out a couple of things. One was a certain cloak with of course the red cloud on it, meaning the Akatsuki, to which Naruto would already glare down at it. He would instantly go into defensive, as of course Kuno begins to supply Naruto with chakra, as Naruto's eyes would flicker red. However, as Naruto looked around, he would also see something familiar. At this, Naruto would then jump down as he would see a familiar red cloth, as well as he would see a damaged scroll on the ground. At this, Naruto would look at it as he would actually see something surprising. Right in the scroll name, he would see the names of a couple of people that Naruto didn't know. However, you would also see names of Jiraiya, as well as one of his own. At this, Naruto looks on in surprise until this is when suddenly he then remembers that Jiraiya always carried this scroll around. At this, Naruto was actually surprised at this until he finally begins to look around, until he then realized that Jiraiya the Toad Sannin was no more. At this, Naruto actually looks around as he could see it, the flamed blood marks, as well as Naruto can sense energy in the air. As Naruto looks around while rain falls upon him, Naruto doesn't even show an expression on his face, as Naruto's expression was completely neutral. After all, why should he care, right? After all, it's not like he did much for him. At this, Naruto would of course look down. However, he does end up looking towards the sky a little bit, as you can see, although you can't see it fully, you can see a faint amount of tears shedding. After all, although Jiraiya was not exactly, 100% there for Naruto, he was one of the only few people in the village that actually, well, I guess you could say care for Naruto, due to the fact that not only did he teach Naruto the prize jutsu of the fourth, although it was only that, but still, he's one of the only few people that was actually there for Naruto in the village. At this, Naruto would then look down at Jiraiya as he would actually, as we now once again do a change of scene, as we see Naruto now moving not only a small piece of the scroll as well as a cloth of Jiraiya's clothing, which was of course, shredded and destroyed. At this, Naruto would dig up a small ground as he places the objects in there until he puts it there. At this, Naruto would also put a small little leaf as he would take out from his pocket a small little damaged burnt book. Naruto had picked up any small remains of the toad Sannin as he would then put the pile on there. Again, like, Naruto's not doing this because of any personal connection, it's because Naruto respected him as a fellow shinobi and a fellow warrior. However, at this, Naruto begins to go and put on a rageful expression. As while Naruto was searching through the rubble, he had recognized a couple of faces, that being the damaged faces of the other paths. At this, Naruto already knew what happened, and although he may not have exactly that same connection with Jiraiya that he had in canon, that did not mean that he did not respect Jiraiya as a shinobi. As Naruto would look towards the sky, Kurama would begin to inflate Naruto with chakra, as Naruto's eyes would then flip red. At this, you can hear Naruto whisper the words as he would then say it. "I'm coming for you, Pain." As we can see Naruto then dash off in a red blur. As this will be the end of Jiraiya Tales of the Gallant. At this, we're now moving on to the next arc, which was Fated Battle Between Brothers. So we're now going ahead and do a time skip. At this point, news of Jiraiya the Toad Sannin's death had spread far and wide, as pretty much the Hidden Leaf Village was now taking more blows than ever. At this point, they were like on the verge of like collapsing. Now, one of their best shinobis were just gone, and also due to the fact that at this point, Konoha is really falling apart. At this point, like seriously, the damage done and everything, like at this point, there's not really much they can do. Their Hokage is not exactly mentally like right. As at this point, Tsunade is just, bro, she's like in and out of the job right at this point. As right now, she's currently like thinking over about just giving the Hidden Leaf to Danzo. As right now, at this point, Tsunade is just like, bro, think about it. She lost Naruto, she lost Jiraiya. Like at this point, she honestly doesn't have much. And so yeah, she honestly doesn't see much or any real point in staying Hokage for this village. However, while this was happening though, of course, Team 7 were still out on their mission. Now, while this was happening though, we would end up seeing that Sasuke, after the much time that he had, as we currently see him now sitting by a rock, as he was currently having his eyes banded over. After all, while the events of Jiraiya was happening, about not even like a day later, events of the Uchiha happened. Flashback. So we now end up seeing Sasuke, who currently right now is jumping from tree to tree, as he had separated from his team. He had gained information from Itachi himself about where his location is, and he was not going to waste even a small second of opportunity to get there. After all, if the Uchiha wanted nothing more, he wanted to end his brother right then and there. And now he finally got a chance. Moving as fast as he did, Sasuke would actually end up arriving at a certain Uchiha hideout. Arriving there, Sasuke would look at the very place as he can do nothing more but glare at it. As already he would actually just walk in there, ignoring pretty much everything, as at this point, this was it. This was the pinnacle. Sasuke is currently right now the pinnacle of his abilities, and if he can't stop Itachi now, then he honestly has no idea what else to do. As Sasuke will walk in there, he'll go ahead and scan around the area, until finally he then sees a certain Uchiha on his throne, sitting down looking at Sasuke. At this, neither of them say anything, until suddenly they then burst into action, bursting into the taijutsu, as the fight between them will go similarly how they do to canon. Most of the beginning of the fight will do nothing much but Sasuke and Itachi doing, taijutsu. However, this one suddenly, as soon as the fight begins to get a little tougher, Sasuke, each one of them will then back away, as they both activate their Mangekyo Sharingan. Seeing this, Itachi would actually be a little bit surprised that Sasuke unlocked his, as Sasuke would then dash off at Itachi at top speeds, causing Itachi to have no choice but to react as well. Now at this point is also taijutsu, as well as a couple of ninjutsu combat between Itachi and Sasuke, as currently right now Itachi would also reveal that in order for the Mangekyo to stop blindness, due to the fact that Sasuke You know, he could already feel the total blindness coming from the, you know, Mangekyo. Itachi explained that that was the reason why he left Sasuke alive. Fueled by his further rage, Sasuke would rush at Itachi with everything he has, as they go toe to toe, fireball jutsu against fireball jutsu, as well as both of them would go and hit each other with one of the best jutsu. I would say in this timeline though, both Sasuke and Itachi would use the Amaterasu, which actually surprised Itachi, while Sasuke was just glaring at his brother. They were both using everything they got, as of course, just like before, Sasuke would actually kick Itachi extremely hard to the point where he smashes to the ground, as using the opportunity he would release a ginormous dragon firebomb at Itachi, who has no choice but to counter his Amaterasu. As both brothers clashed with each other, using the opportunity, Sasuke would look into the air to see that it was now full of smoke, as he now finally had the idea. Jumping up into the air, Sasuke would go and blitz into hand signs instantly. As this when suddenly he would then shout out the words of the very technique that he had, kidding. As suddenly a ginormous lightning dragon would then appear, as he would then begin to rush over to Itachi. Itachi would see the ginormous dragon of lightning, as of course seeing no other option, he would then tap into the very technique that he, although not used very often, was still strong enough, Susanoo. As he would use the Susanoo to cage around himself, Itachi will be enough to take the brunt of the attack, although barely. However, at this point, Sasuke's chakra, like literally, at this point Sasuke at this point was like wasting his chakra too much, as he was using almost everything he had, and at this point there was not much he can do. However, this one Sasuke would then see that Itachi was already in his Susanoo. Seeing this, Sasuke would glare at Itachi, as he would once again also activate his own Mangekyo, as he would also begin to make his own Susanoo. However, the difference between theirs was the fact that Itachi had already armor and everything, as well as the Tutsuka blade, as well as the Yata mirror, while Sasuke was literally only the skeleton. There was no armor, only the skeleton. There was not much he can do. At this, Sasuke's Susanoo would throw a punch, however, just like that, with the Yata blade, Itachi would cut through it like it was nothing. At this, Sasuke's eyes would widen as he would go ahead and try shooting a fireball, however it would do nothing as Itachi continues walking towards him. At this, Sasuke continues trying to hold on, however this is when his eyes would burn, as well as due to the fact that he was wasting too much chakra, he would end up, destroying the Susanoo, getting released from it, as he will look at Itachi in surprise. As Itachi takes a couple more steps to his brother, as just like in canon, he would just tap Sasuke on the forehead until finally he passes out unconscious. At this, Sasuke is just left there shocked, as this one suddenly he will look down only to see that his so-called brother was now dead. Moving right along as we do so, pretty much due to that, we're now gonna cut the flashback, as we now see that currently right now the 8-man squad was currently fighting against, pretty much a swarm of just Tobis. Like literally at this point, Sasuke had literally just abandoned him to go after his brother due to the fact he was too distracted at that point, and he just was like bye and then left, leaving the 8-man squad to take on the rest of the the Tobi clones and everything. However, as this happens though, we'll end up doing a time skip as we now cut to the present. You would see Sasuke, who currently right now was sitting down, as he had remembered the events that had occurred after. After the big fight against, Itachi, Sasuke was awoken in this unknown room where he would see a masked figure. At this, Sasuke was about to lash out, however, he would actually not be able to do that as he would see that he was strapped on. At this, Sasuke would yell out what the heck was he doing and everything. However, the person would just look at him like he was stupid. This was of course Tobi, who just using some certain hand signs would knock Sasuke out unconscious as he proceeds to do surgery. We now do it once again, another time skip, as we see Sasuke wakes up again, however this time his eyes were covered. At this, Sasuke wonders what the heck was happening as his eyes were felt sore. At this, when Tobi would once again appear. Sensing his chakra, Sasuke would take out kunai to stab him, however, Tobi would stop him right then and there. At this, Sasuke would try telling him, demand him what the heck happened, to which Tobi would explain that after the fight with Itachi, Sasuke got knocked out unconscious. Due to this, seeing an opportunity, Tobi just took not only Sasuke, but also Itachi back to his place. At this, Tobi also begins to reveal to Sasuke about a certain dark side to the Hidden Leaf. So this is where Tobi would, just like in canon, tell Sasuke the truth about the Hidden Leaf. About what happened to his brother, about pretty much everything about the whole speculations about the, Uchiha clan, which by the way, Tobirama, like, seriously, bro, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, have you seen, like, the history for the Senju and the Uchiha? I mean, I guess some of his actions are understandable, but it's still not right, dude. Like, he really should not have done that. However, by the end of telling him everything, Sasuke is just left stupefied as he couldn't even comprehend words. As Sasuke at this point was now just screaming at this point as he was glaring at, Tobi as he ordered him to get out and that he doesn't want to see him anymore. At this, he would say that if he was able to rip off these bandages, that he would end him. At this, Tobi continues chuckling as he would actually, of course, walk away from Sasuke. However, as he does so, he would then make a weird remark saying, "Oh wait, this is my place," as he would then warp Sasuke away, as Sasuke would go ahead and scream out. However, as he does this though, Sasuke would of course be actually back to his group, as everything else was nothing more but just a blur. As we now turn back to the present, we see Sasuke now sitting down on a rock, as of course this is when the 8-man squad was actually here, as this was sort of like a small miniature camp that they set it up. At this, Sasuke begins to contemplate like what the heck should he do, until suddenly he just looks up at the sky. At this, he will remove his bandages that were on for quite a while now, as he didn't even feel pain. As he opens his eyes, we will see now Sasuke had the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. As Sasuke then states the words, "Well, whether they are true or not, that's for me to find out." However, this does not stray Sasuke from his goal. He was still gonna find Naruto, and now with the help of his brother, whether he believes it or not, it doesn't matter now. As currently right now, Sasuke, all he needed now was to focus on trying to get Naruto back, and after that, then Sasuke will discover the truth. As this is where I'm gonna end this part to the what if. Hope y'all did enjoy. So yeah, I'm pretty sure some people are gonna have some questions. Like I know some of the anime fans are just heck, not even the anime fans. I'm pretty sure some of the manga and anime fans are gonna probably be questioning me about the whole giving Sasuke the Amaterasu thing. As I could already tell, some people are gonna be typing down like, "Why did you give Sasuke Amaterasu? He doesn't unlock that until he gains Itachi's eyes." Well, the reason I say to that is because, well, this is my what if, and I'm just gonna give Sasuke the Amaterasu because I just feel like it, really. Also, I completely forgot about the whole thing about the Mangekyo giving Sasuke the Amaterasu, and that's on me. But still, heck, it's my what if, so But I still hope y'all did enjoy. I decided to make Jiraiya like a little bit more send-off, because I'm not gonna lie, Jiraiya, although he was extremely perverted, and although he did screw up a lot with Naruto, he was still I still respected him. Like, bro, the man went out goated, he took down the Pains, and yeah, I decided to just recreate that moment, but more badass. Also, I do believe that Jiraiya will train even further, as after all, he's literally lost everything. So I thought like, Jiraiya would train even more, due to the fact that one, like, at that point, Jiraiya should be like training even further. Besides, it's not as if Naruto was gone, although he didn't know 100% sure. He still had hope that Naruto was still alive, so I could see Jiraiya training even further in this timeline, to the point where he mastered Sage Mode. Although that didn't strive him from his pervy antics, however, Jiraiya still continued training every single day in order to save Naruto, so yeah, I decided to put that in. Besides all that, guys, I hope you all did enjoy this what if, and I hope you all come back for more. Although you guys can probably wait for a while for me to post, because I have an extremely shitty upload schedule. So yeah, but either way, I hope you all do enjoy. It's your host, Sage D Samurai, and I'm out. Peace.